Welcome to today's webinar, External Innovation Lessons from the United Nations. I'd like to introduce Kim Turner, VP at Spigit.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's discussion. I'm Kim Turner, and I'm delighted to be hosting Jorge Martinez Navarrete from the United Nations Office of Information and Communication Technology. Today, Jorge will be sharing how they are using crowdsourcing and ideation challenges to drive innovation, not only in technology, but also in addressing issues around the environment and education. You will find especially interesting how the UN is involving the general public in this work. As the provider of the idea management solution that supports these efforts, it's always exciting for us to see the outcomes that our customers are driving. So a little bit about us. Spigit enables organizations to leverage the power of the crowd to create and manage a pipeline of ideas. These ideas translate into initiatives that drive new business strategies, new product development, operational efficiencies, and employee engagement. Spigit enables business leaders to find the best ideas and foster a culture of innovation. Spigit is the largest provider of idea management solutions, serving some of the world's foremost and recognizable organizations. Our participation in launching more than 14,000 challenges across many industries and geographies translates not only into a level of expertise that is highly valued by our customers, but also into a vast innovation community of which our customers like Jorge are a part. On that note, I will turn it over to Jorge to share his experience with leveraging idea challenges to meet organizational goals. Jorge?
Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Hannah, for having me in this webinar today. I'm very excited to be here, and I hope that what I show the participants is interesting, and please don't hesitate to ask questions. I'm excited about that. I work in the Office of Information and Communications Technology of the United Nations Secretariat in the Innovation Unit. And my role is to encourage innovation in the way we do business internally, and also in the way that countries that are members of the United Nations carry business in their own countries, and how they interact with civil society organizations, other people call them NGOs, and how they interact with their citizens. So when we have been designing our innovation strategies, internal and external, we identified crowdsourcing as a very important aspect. And we did a couple of trials with different platforms, and we are since more than a year now using Spigit to handle our external innovation platform, which these are some of the figures that you see on the screen about the number of visitors that we had in 2016 when we were just launching it. It's around the vicinity of 20,000, and we launched 9 challenges using Spigit in that year. And we received a lot of very interesting solutions from 170 countries. So our approach to crowdsourcing is global, and we mainly, for this project, we address the public, not so much the internal crowd. And maybe I can go to the next slide. Let me tell you a little bit about our product. And I'll start by something that a user of the platform said about it. And maybe before I even say the quote, the way we're using our platform, our Unite Ideas platform based on Spigit, is that we use it as a channel to match people who have a challenge, who have a problem to solve. And these people can be from a government. Any member of the UN can do that, any government member. Also NGOs. I don't know, you may be familiar with NGOs like Save the Children or Oxfam in the UK. They can say, we have a challenge, and we focus on in the area of information technology, so open source software and data science. And so if one of these entities have a problem, they can put their challenge online, and we help amplify their voice to reach out to the crowd to see who can help them, to see who can solve this challenge, which is software development or a data science problem. So one of our clients or one of our partners from IDMC, which is an NGO that's dedicated to displaced people, refugees, and they said, United Ideas is a vehicle for enlisting talented individuals to develop innovative solutions that help solve global problems. The genius of this platform derives from its ability to harness talent and cutting-edge techniques and to organize them around a specific and clearly articulated challenge. And I was so happy when we heard this from our client, from our partner, and I can tell that what this organization got out of this challenge was fantastic. They received an open source software solution that actually had been developed not by one single person, but by another group of individuals that work as a crowd in the virtual world themselves. And maybe I'll have a chance to tell you more about that in the following slides. But let me go on. A little bit more about the platform. So we attempt to facilitate and have better communication between the United Nations departments, academic partners, so any university in the world, civil society. So these are all the NGOs that are registered with the UN, and let them interact so they can together apply technology for what we call the Sustainable Development Goals that some of you might have heard of. These are the goals agreed by all the governments in the world to address issues like poverty, climate change, women rights equality, human rights, and saving the environment. So any project, any challenge that one of these entities wants to post on our website is a good challenge. And the crowd that we seek to appeal are data scientists, programmers, designers, students, entrepreneurs worldwide. And the key element of our crowdsourcing strategy is that we accept only open source and Creative Commons contributions. For internal crowdsourcing, we may do something different, but when we engage with the public and with academia, we require that the solutions that they submit are that the intellectual property is under Creative Commons or some different open source software licenses. And let me move on to the next slide. So why do we do it? We have very special reasons. The first one is that we experience and we've confirmed through running challenges that there are a lot of people who have a variety of skills and they might be highly skilled, but they don't have a convenient challenge to donate those skills to an organization that they might believe in, such as the UN. And being able to put out the problem in front of everyone's, accessible to everyone, wherever they are in the world, at whatever time they want to look at this problem, it's a big thing for us because we really do receive great solutions from the crowd. We also are very sensitive about diversity. So we cannot have a problem, and the problems that we're facing are very different depending on whether it's something happening in the Amazon jungle or in a desert in Africa or in a developed country in Europe. So we also want the solutions to come from a diverse point of view and diverse talent. Now, at the same time, the UN has a big commitment to public information. Everything that we do and the only way that we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals is by having people out there in the public to do what they think is the best thing to do and what they know is the best thing to do. So we don't, we want, it's very important for us to get into everyone's agenda. So be it data scientists, maybe they are frequently approached by financial organizations that are trying to use their skills to maximize profit or forecast the next economic trend for stock market. But what we want is that talent is committed to climate change, to spotting the next crisis that's going to generate more poverty, for example. So we really want to be close to the public and tap into new segments such as computer programmers that are not necessarily always the kind of people that are very interested in politics or in human development issues. So we think, so it's very important for us to be close to the public. And finally, we in fact receive great solutions to the challenges that we issue. So we reach out to the public, but then we actually get a lot of value from running the challenges. And let me go to the next slide to tell you more about that. So this is a snapshot of some of the challenges we ran last year. The one on the left-hand side is the iDetect that I mentioned. We ran with an organization dedicated to refugees, to people that are displaced by conflict or by hunger. And what they asked for, I'll tell you a bit about the problem. They asked for help on building a tool that would parse international news in real time and tag this news into identifying countries, locations, numbers of people affected by this incident that's mentioned in a news article. So for instance, if you find an article that says 25 people were killed by a tornado in Arizona, this is a news article and it's not written in any structured way. This software would find, okay, Arizona, tornado, 25 people lost their homes. That it would translate it to not a mortality, but some physical damage. And so that would be inserted into a database. And imagine doing this at the global scale in real time. So you're generating data points every single second. We were able to create one of the most up-to-date real-time databases of people being displaced by different type of incidents. And this was done by the crowd. Doing that type of project manually, the traditional way, by writing specifications, hiring a consulting firm, would cost you probably above $1 million. So we actually get fantastic products from the crowdsourcing. And the others are similar projects. Some are more into data science or specific questions that we wanted to ask. I won't go into detail to leave more time for questions later. So let me move on to the next slides. These are some quotes of what partners around our platform said. The first quote here is from a high-level officer in the United Nations that had been working in the UN, close to academic researchers in energy research, optimization of energy grids. And together with him and his division, his department, we put a challenge to improve a specific computer program. And the answer of his observation was, for him, it was very surprising because he knows all the guys who are working in this electrification model in different countries, who are happen to be PhDs and professors. And all of a sudden, a young professional beats all of them. That's fantastic. So he wasn't sure about the power of the crowd. And after the challenge, he just understood that even some of these smartest people in the world are out there, and you have to go out and give them a channel so they can work with you. And the next quote here is from a participant who won one of the challenges. And he says, challenges such as this provide a unique opportunity to improve one's own abilities while at the same time producing something which would have a positive impact. And I think we might have time in the next slides to show a video by this particular individual. And so I think we are going to play 1 or 2 videos, depending on the time. So let's go with one video. The first one is by one of the companies that participated in a challenge and won.
The goal of the Pro Bono Committee is to provide CKM skills to projects that have the potential to have a positive impact on social issues.
I decided to join the challenge because, people in developing countries have a hard time getting access to clean and curated data. And I think that this project is important because the UN provides a lot of valid data sources that can empower people in these developing countries.
I wanted to create something that could reach different kinds of people. It's rare that you can make something that helps such a broad range of needs.
I decided to do the challenge for two main reasons. The first was it was an opportunity to build a real product that might be used to spread innovation across the globe. The second reason was it was an opportunity to get my hands on open source technologies and collaborate with my peers in product development.
I really like the UN as an organization because it is the one global organization we have that can gather data at a global scale about communities in the world. And in so doing, it makes it possible for us to build solidarity between people who otherwise would not know anything about each other.
11 people participated in this project, and we had 3 different teams. There was a team for web development, a team for data scientists, and a team of scrapers. And at the end of it, we were able to create a platform that unifies information, and users are able to actually search and filter.
Pro bono is really important for us because we give back to society using very advanced techniques.
Hi, my name is Abdul Kader. I'm a software entrepreneur. I've created the Neuron search engine for the SciTech Matcher Challenge. This is my third attempt at a challenge by Unite Ideas, and I find these challenges very interesting because they provide you an opportunity to showcase your skills and also at the same time work towards social good. In each of my attempts at these challenges, my basic focus has been to try and make complex data more accessible to a general audience. So even if a person is not a researcher or not an expert, they should be able to get access to data. In the Neuron search engine too, I've tried to create a very basic and simple interface to access complex scientific data. I hope that this search engine is useful to researchers as well as the common public, and I hope that you like it too. Thanks.
I want to just say something about these videos, and particularly the second one that relates to diversity of the ideas and solutions that we can get from crowdsourcing. To me, so it's really it illustrates the point that behind the second video, you could hear dogs barking and a rickshaw passing by. So we, through these crowdsourcing challenges, we touch very distinct populations. And on the one end, in the first video, you had a highly sophisticated data science elite company. On the other hand, you had a freelancer who's incredibly smart, works by himself from his home in India, and there's everything in between. You have universities, professors, students, high school students, and all of that talent we try to leverage through our platform, Unite Ideas. And I think I'm getting close to the final slides to leave some time for questions. This is an invitation for those of you out there who are in organizations and have people who might be motivated to participate in challenges, and also to tell you a little bit about how we're planning on leveraging the platform this year. In January, in fact, tomorrow, 31st of January, we're launching 10 new challenges simultaneously. Very different challenges. Some are for mobile app development, some are for improving image recognition models. Others are about generating digital art. So we're really diversifying the type of challenges that we're running. And the idea behind launching them simultaneously is to try to create synergies and momentum for the platform itself. We want more people to know about the challenges and the platform. So when they come to the platform, they may be drawn by one challenge related to their discipline. Let's say they work in image recognition, they come for that challenge, but when they land there, they find that there's another challenge related to digital art. So they might have, people have multiple skills. So they may say, oh, wow, I also want to work in this other challenge. And then all together, all the partners participating in these 10 challenges, we are all co-promoting them to reach a larger crowd. So they're right at the bottom of the slide there's the URL for our website, ideas.unite.un.org. I hope that some of you check it out and maybe share it with some of your staff. People tend to be really excited about working for projects that are good for the world. So it's a good idea for staff retention and staff motivation. And finally, that's my name and my address. You can reach us at uniteideas@un.org or send us a tweet as well. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much, Jorge, for sharing your insights. I was thinking as you were sharing the fact that you're about to launch 10 challenges tomorrow, and looking at the images that you were showing of the Unite Ideas platform during the video, that you are often running multiple challenges at one time. Can you share with our audience any tips in terms of things that you've learned on how you market your challenges to the general public, and how do you drive participation in your challenges besides promoting them on this webinar?
Sure. Yes, so in fact, we do not have a lot of experience in marketing multiple challenges simultaneously. This is the first round in which we're going to launch multiple challenges. I can tell you that throughout the previous years, we were focusing on doing one challenge at a time and try to put as much effort into that one challenge. But we noticed that people wanted more, and people said, when is the next challenge coming up? And do you have any more problems that we can work on simultaneously, particularly from universities? We felt that we were wasting talent because a professor, let's say a dean in a university in the engineering school, would say, well, you're offering me a challenge on machine learning, but don't you have any on statistical modeling or optimization problems? So we figured that in our case, it was appropriate to have multiple challenges in offer to tap into different talent pools. And the channels for marketing that we've been using mainly are social media. We started mainly by US, and in this new generation of challenges, we're going to start going strong into China, and we use mainly social media and email, just because it's very efficient. We don't have resources to set out booths outside the UN or offices abroad, and also it's not as, we can't establish that as quickly as we'd like to. So we focus only on digital marketing.
Thank you. Also, one of the things that you mentioned earlier in your presentation was because you are inviting the general public to participate in this work, that you need to require that any participants are prepared to open source the solutions that they propose. Can you speak to how you communicate that to your participants as they're coming into a challenge, and how do you manage that in the platform?
Absolutely. The requirement for materials to be sent through United Ideas to be open source or Creative Commons is really important for us, because we believe it's part of the incentive for participants. I think the people who are very generous with their time and skills to work on a full solution, they want their solution to be used by a lot of people. And by telling them that, yes, you're putting hard work, but then your solution can potentially serve all the 193 countries of the UN or anyone else in the public, because you're doing something important, and anybody else can improve it or take it and use it. It's a big incentive. Now, on the other hand, we actually don't want to, we want to remove the difficulty around intellectual property, and if for every challenge, then before being able to use that software or that model, we needed to do a specific contract with that entity, then innovation would be slowed down. So and also for that type of relationship, we do have other processes such as procurement. We can do a procurement expression of interest and receive proposals in sealed envelopes that only the UN can see, and then we pick the perfect partner, and then we have agreement with them. But it's very different. In this case, we believe that by mobilizing the crowd to put a solution or a tool available to the public, we're actually fostering innovation across the board in countries, among the general public, for NGOs, and for everyone. That's why that's really important for us. In terms of the website, we make this clear, firstly, in the terms and conditions of the website, which is something that people don't usually click on. So we also write it very prominent in the challenge submission forms. So when we write down the explanation of the challenge, we say you will be asked to accept terms of reference, and we indicate what they roughly say. We say in the terms of reference, you'll see that everything is open source and Creative Commons. And then when people are actually submitting a solution, we have them accept these terms and conditions, and we write them in front of their the form, submission form. And we haven't had a single situation in which the user that submitted something said, "Oh, I didn't know this." We just made it so evident. And the platform, Spigit, allows you to customize the forms quite well. So it's easy to put the field where you, or the message where you want it. Yeah, that's our approach for that.
That's great. That's really helpful. One of the things also that you mentioned is throughout, you talked about winning ideas, winning challenges, and ultimately we saw a video of one of the winners of a challenge, if you will. So can you speak a little bit about what it means to win a Unite Ideas challenge and what your thoughts are around utilizing incentives as a part of your program?
Sure. So in our program, we are deliberately staying with incentives for the winners that are intrinsic. We want people to be participating in the challenges not because they're going to earn a lot of money or because well, mainly money. We do try to promote people that win. Because they are the type of global citizens that we want to promote. So we want to say that individual, that professor that has a large institution behind and years of experience and skills and a lot of students that work with her or him is actually doing their share for the Sustainable Development Goals. And that's why they deserve to be put as an example, a global example. So whenever somebody wins, we issue out press releases to announce the winners. We have the United Nations Twitter accounts and social media accounts to share the videos that they produce. We ask them to produce the videos themselves, and they never hesitate to produce the videos. And then we amplify their voice and we explain why they're committed to sustainable development. And we experience that that's enough for the participants. In some cases, we've also offered trips to be able to go and present your work at an international conference, but the rewards in terms of financial are nominal. I mean, we cover the trip and the travel expenses, but we actually don't give them cash. In one of the challenges that are being launched tomorrow, which is about digital design, art, and virtual reality and augmented reality, the winners will have 1 month they'll be invited to be working in Geneva at one of the United Nations facilities there with the team that's planning a campaign for refugees. So that will be paid, but that's sort of a unique challenge. In general, we really our main incentive is promotion of the individual and the companies that participate and win.
Can you speak a little bit more about how your Unite Ideas program has impacted your sustainable development goals that you mentioned, and if there's any particular success stories from the program that stand out in your mind?
Yes. Yeah, I think, well, it's difficult to attribute already gains to the Sustainable Development Goals to United Ideas, to challenges. However, I can name a couple of examples that are directly have challenges that have resulted in tools directly applied to the SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals. So, for example, the electrification channel that I mentioned earlier today is a computer program that takes a large amount of variables such as the geography of a place, the amount of hours of sunlight that country gets, the number of rivers they have, the number of people they have, where are the people in that country distributed, and this computer program takes all these variables and puts out the most efficient, the most economic way to electrify that country entirely. So that country can have energy to charge a cell phone, to power a radio, to power a light bulb in every town and every village. So in Africa, mainly, there are some countries that have only about 10% electrification. So it's a real challenge to get them 100% electrified by 2030. And this program gives you a formula for doing that. It tells you in this village, you should reach out with diesel generators, or in this other one with a local mini electricity grid for 10,000 families, etc. So the challenge was to improve that program, and it was dramatically improved in terms of speed. So now the member states that are using this program to forecast and to plan electricity deployments in their country is able to do this from a simple computer and with a program that runs very fast. So it enabled the teams that are carrying out these trainings nationally in many countries to run these trainings very quickly and be able to change the programs and test the models very quickly. So this is going to result, in fact, in more electrification around the world. That was one case, and I think maybe the other one on refugees was very important, because when different offices in different entities, governments or humanitarian agencies, are deciding where to allocate resources, they need to know where are the most people affected by natural disasters or man-made disasters, human-made disasters, because things are constantly shifting. Like in the case of recently in hurricanes and other natural disasters around the world, constantly you need to shift funding, shift people, move a refugee camp from one place to another, and this needs to happen in real time. So the tools that are resulting from these challenges are directly impacting the way that we make decisions.
That's great. These are really inspiring outcomes that you're achieving as a part of your program. What advice, final question, what advice would you give an innovation leader who is just getting started or is early on in their ideation program?
I think maybe one advice would be to make sure that they consider both or various type of crowds. So don't immediately focus only on your internal crowd. I believe many organizations can leverage the public crowd if they put it in a way that it's attractive for people who are not employees of the company. And that it's at the same time a good way to build your brand and show your corporate social responsibility, find talent that you might want to recruit, and also get good solutions. So that can be done in parallel to internal ideation. So that's one advice, to consider different type of crowds, external and internal. The other one is to find a good champion within your company that can help you promote the challenges internally, and to ensure that whatever comes out of the challenges can actually be implemented in the company. I think a big disappointment is, and we've had some of those, especially at the beginning, that we had great solutions coming from the crowd, and then we couldn't implement them because they were not, the challenges were not really launched by the entity that had the capacity to take that solution and use it. And so we had to walk backwards a little bit and then make sure that every challenge that we launch, and that's the case now, every challenge that we launch is backed by the entity that can actually benefit from the solution. So I think that's a very important one.
That is great advice. I thank you so much, Jorge, for sharing your insights with our audience today. Very valuable. And I would say to everyone on the line, if you'd like to hear more from innovation leaders like Jorge, please be sure to join us at Spigit Ignite in May. We would love to see you there. And thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you, Kim.